بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Interpretation of the Holy Quran.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. With the help of Allah, we began a brief commentary of Quran. We got to chapter Nisa, the fourth chapter of Quran, which is revealed in Medina. It has 176 verses. Please listen to verse 101.
وَإِذَا ضَرَبْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ أَن تَقْصُرُوا مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ إِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَن يَفْتِنَكُمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِنَّ الْكَافِرِينَ كَانُوا لَكُمْ عَدُوًّا مُّبِينًا.
And when you journey in the earth, there is no blame on you if you shorten the prayer. If you fear that those who disbelieve will cause you distress, surely the unbelievers are your open enemy. In previous section, we talked about this verse that Allah says, when you are in a journey, there is no blame on you to shorten your prayer. And we said, our scholars, by the help of narrations, understood that Allah has ordered us to break our prayer or shorten our prayers, which are 4 rak'at, like noon and in the afternoon prayer, and evening prayer, Isha prayer, which is 4 rak'at, to make them 2 or half when we are in a journey. As we cannot make a fast when we are in a journey, exactly the same. It is an obligation, and nobody can say in the holy month of Ramadan, even if I am in a trip, I want to make a fast. It is not accepted. And pray is the same. When a person is in trip, he cannot say, I want to pray full. It's not accepted and it is wrong. But we said there are certain conditions to consider the trip as a trip that Allah allows us, and the Islam will tell us to break your prayer and to break your fast. We mentioned some of the conditions and I'm going to continue the rest. But before talking about the rest of the conditions, we should remind you that when we say in a journey we must break fast. In the holy month of Ramadan, if we travel, we must break our fast and we are not allowed to continue fasting. It is good to know that if a person travels after noon, after Azan al-Zohr, Zohr prayer, even if after prayers, if a person travels, he cannot break his fast. He must keep it. When we say he must break his fast if he travels before noon, but after noon, like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, if he travels, when Azan is at 12 o'clock, for example, or 12:30, Azan is important, noon prayer. If a person travels after that, he cannot break his fast. He must continue to fast the same day, but next day he cannot fast. But for prayer is not the same. For prayer, it doesn't make a difference that a person travels in the morning, 8 o'clock, or in the afternoon. When he goes out of the city, as we talked about it, he must break his prayer and shorten his prayer. Another condition for his prayer is, we said when a person travels 24 kilometers going and 24 kilometers coming, which altogether is 48 kilometers, And altogether should be 27 miles. It means 13 and a half going and 13 and a half miles, 27 miles. 13 and a half going, 13 and a half is coming, which is almost equal of 48 kilometers. The prayer will be in half. But another condition is if a person between his journey will not reach his hometown. If a person is, for example, 10 kilometers out of his city and he travels toward his city and continues 14 kilometers out of his city, which altogether is 24 kilometers. But in the road when he was traveling, he reached his hometown. This is not a journey. When we say 24 kilometers, it means from his hometown. Otherwise, if he travels from outside of his town and reaches town and goes out 12 kilometers, 13 kilometers is not accepted because from his hometown he didn't travel 24 kilometers. This is another condition. And also, if a person travels and he doesn't decide to stay in a new place for 10 days, completely, fully 10 days, then his prayers will be in half. Otherwise, if a person travels to new area, he traveled 50 kilometers and he wants to stay there for 12 days, 10 days, 10 completely 10 days, full days. Of course, his prayer is full prayer. So if a person travels and he wants to stay less than 10 days, his prayer is half and he cannot make a fast. Otherwise, if he wants to stay there for 10 days, his prayer is full. So this another condition is he wants to stay less than 10 days. But if a person goes to a new place and he wants to stay a few days, he doesn't know how many days. First day, we say he should make it half. Second, third, fourth, even 10 days, 15 days. Still, because he doesn't know how many days he wants to stay and he has no intention to stay 10 days, fully 10 days, he must pray in half until 31 days. If a person doesn't have intention to stay 10 days, every day he is expecting somebody inform him something or give him something and he goes back. But a scholar says if he stays with such a circumstances and such a condition for 31 days and he cannot decide, after 31 days he must pray in full. Even if he stays 1 day more, half a day more, he must pray full. So a person must pray in half if he cannot decide to stay and has no intention to stay 10 full days. And he must pray in half if he stays without intention for 31 days. He has permission to pray in half. But after that, he must pray completely. We understand from this verse that Allah wants to make easy for us. Because of that, in trip, we must make our prayer half and we are not allowed to fast. Allah wants to make it easy for us in a trip. And also when Allah says, إن خفتم أن يفتنكم فليس عليكم جناح أن تقصروا, there is no blame on you to break your prayer and make it half, to shorten your prayer من الصلاة إن خفتم أن يفتنكم. If you fear that those who disbelieve will cause you distress. We understood from this sentence that only to fear is enough. At the beginning, as according to one interpretation, we said at the beginning Allah said it because there was fear in a trip. only fear was enough to allow us to pray in half, not to be sure completely. Sometimes Allah says, if you fear, I'm going to make it easy for you, like in fast. It is obligated to make a fast, but if we fear of sickness, only if we fear, but as a normal fearness, like 50%, 60%, so it's not necessary to make a fast. And here also Allah says, if you fear, make it half, according to one idea that at the beginning of Islam, when Allah has ordered this issue, it was only for the people who fear, and only to fear was enough. There was no necessity to become sure that something is going to happen. Then Allah says, إِنَّ الْكَافِرِينَ كَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوًّا مُبِينًا. You must understand that unbelievers are your open enemy. They want to hurt you wherever they find you. Thank you very much for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.